Alright, it is 10:06 a.m. and I want to go over a trade I took with HMBL. But before I do, I just want to go over the other ones just briefly. This one was no interest to me. It kept downtrending. I didn't like how it had like a gap up and then it just went all the way to the level and then it broke under it. Maybe the idea of it breaking on the 13 would have been cool, and maybe I could have considered that, but I didn't. And I did open, and now it's funded a trade zero account. I might consider that for shorting. I don't know. I don't like how they seem to charge a lot of fees just to even get locates when, you know, maybe here on Schwab this thing is shortable. Let's see if it's shortable here on Schwab actually. This one is not shortable on Schwab, so let me just cut the recording because it just shows my account number and everything and see if this thing is shortable on Trade Zero, just to get an idea. This one's been very popular for short sellers lately. Alright, I took a look and yeah, this one is shortable on Trade Zero, which is cool because this is one that is not shortable on Schwab and it's shortable at Trade Zero. The only thing is that I don't understand how much they're charging in terms of commission. It says 670. Is that like, I don't know, $6.70 to short? And then you can only reserve like in pieces of 100 shares, which I would never really do with this one. But I did miss out on. I'm not much of a short seller, but I did miss out on RETO. This one was nice, or maybe it was this one. I honestly don't know anymore. And BBIG was also a very nice one to short. I'm not sure which day it was, but I've been in that situation where I've wanted to short something and it just doesn't work out because it's not shortable at Schwab, and it does a very nice move. But yeah, so this one could have maybe have been something in that it broke under this 13-ish level that it was holding, as well as back here before the run up. And I just don't like how it had a gap up and then it sold off and then broke the low. So that would have just been too much. I would have thought maybe it would have tried to have turned around, but that's pretty cool. Again, not really my thing. This one, no interest in it. Maybe it's a bit cursed because I did some research and this thing was like at some point some kind of a spec and it just had some really bad things. So I don't know about that one. That one might be cursed. It might not be something to consider longing anymore. No interest in this one. The volume isn't there. This one is nice. I've seen this one. And in theory, I could have taken a buy at 13 if I was super aggressive, but from what I've seen, and because I don't have that much experience trading up trending stocks compared to morning panic bounce plays, this one did something, and I've seen it before where uptrends it has a little downtrend and then it continues. But I would have liked it, and I would have been interested in buying if this uptrend right here was much higher, then it came all the way back to VWAP, and then it held VWAP, because then it would have meant there's more volatility, and there's also more potential that it can make a move towards the upside because it just did such a big spike before it downtraded and held VWAP and then made another leg up. So this one was a potential. And as for HMBL, this wasn't an ideal setup, and I want you to know when I sold at 958 right here, I'm not a genius. I'm not some special lucky kid who sold 2 minutes before it just downtrend and broke under this level that was trading off of. I'm not some kind of a genius. It was something that you can just tell with the price action over time. I was in at 953, and why was I in this setup? The daily chart isn't that nice, but the idea is that maybe it can try to turn around at some point, and it had a little bit of a morning spike, kind of trying to change its momentum, and as you can see, not have a downtrend right at the market open like it normally had. In fact, it turned around and went the other way, but as you can see, it didn't really work out, although this thing can totally uptrend later. So it downtrended under VWAP and then it broke past it. It uptrends and now it's holding above VWAP. I would have liked it if it was holding at VWAP, but above it isn't too horrible because then, at least there's a range that you can clearly see and trade off of. So I was in at 953 right here, and I hit the ask at 1698 right here. And this was the wall the entire time. 1698 by, I believe, 1681. And it just did not budge. It just did not break through. It just would never get out. It never seems like it was getting smaller, the sellers at the ask. And another bad thing was that there would be little buys hitting the ask, but when you look at the bid, there would be like this 5,000, 10,000, shares being sold into the bid. So there was a clear difference in the buying and selling. And on top of that, 16.8 was the bid, but whenever somebody at the bid would place an order above the 16.81 level, so maybe somebody places a bid at 16.9, it would immediately get sold into, right? Like somebody would just dump 10,000 shares and wipe out basically whatever size was on the bid that is higher than where it was previously. So all of that price action put together just made it look really bad after I got in. And then at 9:58, I got out because there was another seller that showed up at the wall of people selling at the ask at 16.98, and it was actually it might have been this one right here with 17,000 shares. And when that extra seller showed up, and then the bid was looking kind of weak, and then the price action from what I mentioned is happening, making it look really ugly, I got out. And I had a very generous sell. I didn't get my sell at, where is it, right here. It's not like I hit the bottom here of this range at 16.81. I got out at 16.9, and I lost 40 pennies, I think. Yeah, just 40 pennies. And 2 minutes later, it broke under. It failed, and now maybe it can try to play off of here an uptrend, sure, but my idea of it being up here didn't work out. It could clearly still try doing higher lows, sure. I could be in and then, be ballsy and maybe risk the day low, but I'll probably just watch it. I don't want to, stab it a few times and then lose track of what the pattern is overall and, do something dumb. So, yeah, that's it for right now. I'll make an update later, but just wanted to go over my trade there. I hope it made sense. Alright, it is 6:31 p.m. and I am here to call it off. Overall, I am down 40 pennies on my day trading, and that was with HMBL because it didn't work out when I was in and out the setup here. It did actually turn around, yes, after it had that downtrend. I just didn't want to be that guy where, okay, it didn't work here, let me try again here, and then that doesn't work, let me try the next one, and then you just paper cut your way all the way down. I'm happy that it at least offered to move a higher low from the morning panic, higher here. Not really a morning panic, just had a little baby drop. I guess it was. Actually, it wasn't too bad, but this was a higher low, and then it did a higher low, and then it actually made a move. So I was on the right track. It just did not work when I was in, right here, and I didn't want to, again, kind of just overwhelm myself and try the same setup just multiple different times, trying to play out the chart. But maybe next time I can have that much more, I don't know, hard-headedness to try again, or to simply be in the situation where it works out where I'm in. And yeah, this was a nice move. I mean, it did this right here, again, a higher low, and it did make a move towards the upside. You can, I guess maybe I'm getting too obsessed with freaking trend lines, but yeah, you can see when it broke it, it started to consolidate and not necessarily look nice, but there was a point here where it got exponential. And I'm not really a kind of person who is good at holding setups for a super long time, but this would be one that I could practice with, and I would probably maybe consider it when it's above VWAP as a sell. And then if I were to have any, I would be selling here because it just started to get more exponential. And that was a nice move from the 16s to the 18s. 18.5 if you were super lucky and you saw there on the ask. But yeah, that's about it for this. And yeah, that was it. Now I'll go over this briefly. It's not part of day trading. It's not part of day trading, but I did have QYLD, and I was stopped out eventually, but this is the one I mentioned before that I was in for a longer term period. Again, this one kind of trades based off of the S&P 500, right? I've said this one pays a nice dividend. And as you can tell with the overall markets, it had like a really big red day right here. It was at one point down over 2%, and I thought, all right, here's another opportunity to consider this for another long setup to build my position on my Roth IRA and QYLD because it's below EMA4, the red line, considerably. So in theory, I did nail the bottom, but it just continued to downtrend. I was in right, let me see. Yeah, I had my stop here when I placed it, but it didn't go through until later. I added 40 more shares, so I had 40, and I added to my position, so I ended up having a $1,600 position. 1147 is when I added 40 shares at 26.7 right here. Very good entry. I mean, if I were to play the option, which I'm not gonna do, the option for SPY, and then my other two entries, I would have been pretty profitable. But I think options, I don't know, it just feels like there's this energy force around it, and I'm just not supposed to be trading those, so I won't do it. But it did a nice move here. It did bottom, right? Except that it broke down, and then there was this massive selling action, and my stop at 20.55 went out. So right here, I was out. And guess what? I had that $1,600 position, and I only lost $5. I don't know why it's calculated wrong on Schwab, but I only lost $5. If I can trade a $1,600 position and lose $5 if it doesn't work out, I think that's just amazing, and I'll gladly do it again and again and again. With that in mind, obviously, I'd rather be profitable, but if I'm going to lose, hey, I'll lose $5 on a $1,600 position. And what happened is that it downtrended. Now, this might be a little speculative, maybe a little risky, but I do like how, it had this right here, and then it just consolidated, and then it tried to make a leg up, right? And now we dropped right into the danger zone right here. And the drop was right here, so maybe, maybe it can like try to hold something. But now I sound like a newbie just trying to guess what it's going to do. It can do whatever it wants, but in theory, if it's going to uptrend, it might hold above this level. Maybe it'll just consolidate the next few days. I don't know, but I have a very tight stop with QYLD because I went long again after it had that considerable drop. I was in right here, back my 80 shares, so I basically saved myself like 20 cents of loss by having that stop, and I got in at 312, which was around, actually, yeah, 312 right here. Right here looked like an inverse head and shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder. I mean, it did uptrend, but it was looking scary. It did get near the lows again, but it didn't break under it. And I'm in at 2037, around this level again, right here. 2037, right here was my entry. My stop, which I put slightly after my entry, as you can see 2 minutes later. Basically, if it were to have broken the day low, if the S&P 500 breaks the day low, and then it continues, they didn't just break it a little and hold it. If it just breaks it and continues the downtrend, I would have had that stop. And now it's in the 2040s, so I'm up slightly, but the idea is that this is just going to be a nice entry on something that if the overall markets turn around, of course it doesn't have to, it can keep downtrending. And I just missed the 10-year bull run because of my age, and because I also just took forever because I kept listening to all the idiots saying the market's going to drop every single year and to put your money in gold and Bitcoin. So yeah, that's the idea there. That's my new position. I'll have that stop there, although it might just try to, I don't know, maybe it can consolidate. Who knows what the market does, but I think it's just less predictable right now. But if it is going to uptrend, it's likely not going to get back here, and I got in at a point where I think I'm comfortable with. That's all I have for today. I would have liked it if maybe I would have considered trading this one, but a few times it was just so sketchy looking the way it would trade, and it kind of traded in a way in that when it started the work you would have to chase to get in, and I was just not a part of that. But this one was nice. for what it was as runner, and I'll be interested in seeing what it can do tomorrow. And yeah, that's all I have for today.